All right, welcome everybody to the Gateway to Grace. My name's Elizabeth Tobin, and I do these calls every month. And I'm really, really pleased to be back after a couple of months off for the summer. So, coming back all refreshed and excited and ready to go. And today we're going to delve into family patterns and relationships. So, just want to let you know that this is being recorded. I put the recordings up on YouTube, and you can access the sessions at any time you want. You can do them over and over again. And a lot of people find that that's very helpful to do a session a couple of times or more. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about relationships today. So relationship is inherent in our very nature. And whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not, whether we even value it or not, humans are a tribal species. And deep down, we all do need connection and nurturance and love. These are basic life needs that are necessary to our survival. And yet, we didn't always get these needs met in the way that we needed them to be met, especially when we were younger. And this causes us to adapt in different ways, adapt to actually live without these needs being met. And so then we get used to living in this adapted state as our new normal. But I found that learning to live without comes at a cost. And so our protective defenses, they guard us against pain, but at the same time, they guard us against true connection. And this is why deep down, so many of us live with the sense of low level chronic loneliness that's like the background music to our lives. And over the years, I've seen how my clients were in that adapted state and how much they all longed for something different, something more fulfilling than what they already had. And I've been in that place too. And I'm still attending to dismantling my compensations, my adaptations. It's an ongoing process. And, as they say, each level brings you to a new level of depth and also a new opportunity of spiraling up. And it's interesting that life actually conditions us to take a protective stance within ourselves. This is to avoid experiencing pain. And so what we do is we close down, we shut down, we numb out, we disembody, we disconnect. And this is a protective survival response that helps us to make it through those times where we don't have our needs met in the way that we need them to be. But then what happens is there comes a time when this protection is no longer a help, it becomes a hindrance. When these adaptations and compensations that helped us to get through difficult times in the past don't work for us anymore. And that's the signal that it's time for something different. And this is why I've focused my work on supporting people who know at some level that it's time beyond these old patterns of protection, these adaptations and compensations that we've developed, who know at some level that they really do want fulfilling relationship in their lives. And maybe they're afraid of repeating the same old patterns, but they know that what had worked for them in the past isn't working for them anymore. And they want something different to move forward, to help them to step into a greater level of connection in their relationships. And I know through both my training and through my years of experience, both personal and professional, that family patterns are often fueling the repetitive or the unfulfilling relationships. So the repetition of unfulfilling relationships. And and these family patterns aren't always conscious. We're not always aware of them, but they are real. And although they've been shaping our lives, we may feel powerless to do anything about them. And the danger when family patterns are left unaddressed is that you'll keep yourself bound to the very cycle that you don't want to keep repeating in your relationships. So I just want to take a few moments and look at some of the dozens and dozens of family patterns that can be thriving underground within us, affecting every aspect of how we choose and act within our relationships. And so family patterns can be at the root of trust issues in relationship, especially if there's an incidence of infidelity in your family line. There's also patterns that can arise within us that we can repeat. For example, if one of our elder relatives, or even back in our ancestral line, um, for example, if you had a great aunt who was a spinster for her entire life, and then we also can share in that pattern and unconsciously not allow relationship into our life, thus repeating her pattern of painful separation and loneliness. Uh, there could be a pattern of divorce in the family, that's what our family does. We don't have happy lifelong marriages. They end in pain and conflict. And there's another pattern that can also be playing out, which is kind of the other side of this, where I know in Boston, they talk about the Irish divorce, where the partners don't actually divorce, but they live together, but they live in separate lives. And I know part of my family heritage is Irish Catholic from Boston, going back into Ireland. And I've seen this in some of my family where there's actually not divorce, but there's separation that happens in a couple's relationship where they just resign themselves to the fact that we're just going to live separate lives and not really live as husband and wife. And that's lonely and painful. Another pattern, sometimes it's not hard to see when family patterns repeat. Look at Paul McCartney, famous musician. His mother died of breast cancer. Then he went on to marry his wife, Linda, who also died of breast cancer. That's a very stark linear line. And other times the patterns are much more subtle. Could be back in the family line, one of your ancestors abandoned the family. Now you have a pattern of relationships that get off to a good start, but then as the relationship progresses, things start to fall apart and you find yourself with somebody who's unavailable in one way or another. And family patterns can be so convoluted. They can make very little logical sense. And they can also be directly opposite to what we consciously think or believe. And this is why they can be very hard to sort of get our minds around and to actually change on our own without a system that helps us and supports us and holds us as we delve into this work. Because for the most part, these family patterns are completely outside the range of our conscious mind. We don't even know they're there, so it's really hard to do something to address them. So, for example, take this pattern of out of unconscious love to my family system, I choose a partner who will desert me. Okay. And so when this pattern is identified, you may have one of two reactions. Oh, this explains everything. And it does. Or you might also respond with denial, is like, no way, this, I don't think, feel, or believe that. And you don't. And so either way, identifying these family patterns that are presently having an impact on you is really important, because the impact is, it's active, it's there. Sometimes it's very noticeable, and other times it's really subtle. So identifying and transforming these patterns can only lead to greater freedom, connection, and joy in your relationships, in your partner relationships, and even in your family, in all your relationships. So I just want to take a pause there, because that's kind of a lot. Kind of a lot of ground that we covered there. And I'd like to invite you into my upcoming relationship program, where we're looking at relationships through the lens of the family patterns. And this program can be the gateway into the relationship that you long for. It's an online journey where we meet over 6 months on Zoom. And we identify the unconscious family patterns that are there within you that are more than ready to be addressed. And this is a program who want real change. 6 months is long enough to go deep and wide enough to affect real and lasting change, so you can draw into your life the kind of relationship that you want, whether it's drawing in new, or whether it's also repatterning your current relationship. And there are zillions of relationship coaching programs out there, but this isn't one of those. This is looking at the family patterns, because often what's missing in relationship coaching programs is sufficient emphasis on the power, the depth, and often the invisibility of family patterns. And most importantly, the next step of actually transforming these patterns. And so my work is specifically aimed not at coaching, rather at identifying and transforming the vast network of hidden individual family and societal patterns around relationship that are affecting who you draw into your life and that are affecting the quality of your existing relationships. And from a very young age, we put these unconscious patterns, many of them inherited, so far out of reach that we really can't get near to them on our own, let alone actually hang out with them long enough to really do something effective to change them, which is sad because they are changeable. And yet, so many people have resigned themselves to living either without close partner connection and love or living in relationships that are unfulfilling. And so, close, intimate, trusting relationship can feel unattainable. And it's truly heartbreaking, and it doesn't have to be this way. And this is why it's my mission to support people into sound, healthy, mature relationships by honing in on the unconscious, systemic family patterns that are powerfully at play and yet usually left out of the relationship picture. So my next group is starting the second week of October, and it's for people who are already in a committed relationship and who want more from it, more connection, more fulfillment, more harmony, more trust. And in the safe, confidential container of a small group of 4 to 6 people, with others like yourself, opening to a life where relationship miracles can happen. This is our goal together. And so if you're interested, you can send me an email at et@liztobin.com, and I'll put that in the chat room. And we can set up a time to talk and see if this group is for you. And if you are not in relationship and you're interested in a group, I'll be having another group starting later on as the fall progresses. So you can reach out to me, and we can see if that is something that would work for you. So the first group is going to be for people in relationship, and then I'll have another group starting after that. So I just want to take a pause here, and I'll put my my email into the chat room. Okay, so you can reach out to me if you're interested in joining one of my upcoming groups. Great. Hey, Janine, good to see you. And Nancy's here. Katie, fabulous. I'm great. I'm great. I'm grateful you guys all have joined me. So I want to focus in on loneliness in relationship. As Robin Williams said, one of the worst things in life is to end up with people that make you feel alone. And this is something that I have been exploring within myself and transforming within myself with the help of my teacher and mentor. And it's something that as we move into the fall is very present for people, because the fall is the time of year when grief can be brought up. And so, loneliness, grief, I think go hand in hand. And oftentimes we either sort of get lost in the loneliness, wallow in the loneliness, or we can go on the other end of the spectrum and go into busy, trying to avoid the loneliness. And so looking at where the balance is, and also looking at the family patterns that are sort of underneath the loneliness, that sort of drive us, or that predispose us to feel lonely, whether we're in relationship or not. And I think a lot of us seek relationship as a relief from loneliness, only to find ourselves repeating that loneliness pattern, but in a relationship. And so the loneliness can be something that we carry within ourselves as a generational pattern. And so let's look at that in today's session. So I'm just going to ask you to take a pause and just close your eyes and center within yourself. And I heard from a few people that couldn't be with us today on the call that asked to be included in today's session. So including them. And I'm just going to check to see, just tune in to see what the best way is to approach our session today. And so it's best for us to do a seed of transformation. Yes, okay. So I call the seed of transformation where the session focuses on one person, and they're like the voice of the group. And that one person sort of embodies or holds these patterns that are common to everybody else in the group. And so I'm just going to check to see if you would like to be considered to be the voice of the group in the seat of transformation. So we'll be focusing on you during the session. And so would anybody like to be, so Cheryl, okay, anybody else? Tabitha, good. Jax, April, I'm going to see if you guys can, let's see, I'm just going to see. Looking here. I think I got everybody's. Tabitha. Okay, I'm going to write down. So Tabitha, Annette, Jax, April, Cheryl, good. Janine. Okay. Morningstar, I'm going to mute you because you have some background noise there. You're a cutie.
I just don't know how to.
Great grandchild. Yeah. Okay, good. Very good. So let's see here. Is there anybody I have not got? So Tabitha, Annette, Jax, April, Cheryl, Janine. Okay. So let's see here. The best person to be the voice of the group today, I'm just going to check through. Tabitha, Annette, Jax, it's April. Where are you, April? I know that your sound was a little funky, so let's see. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but now we can't see you.
Okay.
We see your ceiling.
Okay.
All right, that sounds pretty good. We can see you. Can you say a little bit more just to test the audio?
Okay. How can you guys hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I
Good.
had my speaker set aside.
Ah,
So
okay. Great. So, I'm just gonna ask you to take a moment and just sort of tune in and what was it that about loneliness and relationship and family patterns that prompted you to volunteer? What would you like to look at today?
well, when you said that you for people who tend to get too busy, and so I've kind of convinced myself that I don't want a relationship because I'm too busy
Hmm.
for it. And I've really I've really, what is the word that you use? Adapted to being like self-reliant as far as any of my family is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So and I guess I've just assumed that that's how it's supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And when you say
And
okay, go ahead.
as far as like I have an aunt as well who's an old like a spinster that has never gotten into a relationship and stuff like that. So a lot of that just kind of resonated for me.
Okay. Great. Great. Good. Good. So may I have your permission to muscle check your system as part of the group?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, great. And everybody else, oh, hey, Martha, good to see you. Everybody else can give their permission as well to be included in the session. So I'm just going to check to see what we need to do to move into the session. What's sort of the doorway in here? And so it's best for us to start with something from orientation, problems into opportunities, an intention for a new possibility. There's a repatterning. Yes. So let's see what we need to do here in terms of a repatterning. April, we lost you. All we see is your ceiling again. So we need something from A, B, C, D, something from E, something from F, something from A, B. It's number one. So we're actually going to work with the principle of entrainment and resonance as it relates to relationships. So let me see what we need here. There's something we need to hear from this. Yes. Okay. Okay, so it's something from here. It's from here, here, here. Okay, so this is talking about how in relationship, when we're in phase, um, we feel like we're in rhythm with the other person and with ourselves and in this synchronized state when our frequencies are entrained or when we're synchronized with somebody, we feel empowered and strengthened, and we have more energy, more confidence, more unity, more joy, more love, more connection in the relationship. So there's something more we need to hear about this principle of entrainment and resonance. Now, okay, is anything from here? No. Okay. So there's something that we need to look at here. Okay. There's something from here. So is there somebody, April, that you don't feel like you're in sync with? Someone, a relationship that you have?
Um, let's see here. Well, I'm not in a relationship, and I would like to be. I like the idea of it at least. But I guess I'm just having a difficult time imagining what that feels like or looks like because I haven't really experienced that
Gotcha.
in a
Okay.
partnership.
Okay. So that's what we need to look at. Yeah. So a difficult time even imagining what that might look like. And
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and in the creative process, when we want to manifest, right? In the manifestation process, it starts with intention, right? And if we
Hmm.
can't even visualize it to intend it, it makes it harder to manifest.
Yeah. And I just keep going, oh, I'm just too busy and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I've kind of convinced myself that I don't even want it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just writing that down. So this is what we need to check. Yeah. So say I have a difficult time imagining myself in relationship.
I have a difficult time imagining myself in relationships.
I'm too busy.
I'm too busy.
And I've convinced myself that I don't even want it.
I've convinced myself that I don't even want it.
Yeah. And that's resonating. And so there's something more here. Yeah. So just take a little pause. And so what's the downside of this for you? How does that affect you in your life?
Getting into a relationship?
Not having the relationship,
Oh,
convincing you
not having a
you don't even
relationship.
want it.
Oh, well, I think, I mean, it would be nice to love and be loved, have that exchange,
Hmm.
rather than it just being a one-sided kind of deal.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so the downside is I just missed out on that level of intimacy.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's check that.
And
Say,
honestly, like I can't even really tell you what the downside is because there's probably so much that's unknown to me about it.
right, right, right. Like you don't know what you're not missing.
I don't know what I'm missing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of a whole unknown category.
Yeah. Okay. So let's check this. Say, I'm missing being loving and being loved.
I'm missing being loving and being loved.
Yeah. And that's resonating. That's
Okay.
on. Yeah. That's on. Yeah. So let's see. There's something that's needed for this section here. It's something from number 1, number 2. So there's something going on with the breath, right? So I just want you to focus in on your breath and notice. And exhale with a ha. Ha. And everybody else can do this too. Ha. You may notice yourself holding your breath. Ha. And just notice what that feels like in your body as you're focusing on your breath and just allowing the breath to release a little bit more. Ha. So there's something that we need to look at from this next section. Yeah. And so it's something from 1 through 10, 11 to 20, 21, 22, 23. And it's the first one. It's the second. Okay. So this is a non-coherent or a negative pattern that is impacting this issue of not being able to even imagine being in relationship. And so the statement is, I have to be right with blank. So who or what do you feel like you have to be right with that is not serving you?
Hmm. Maybe.
I know. Remember I said that to you once. You have a different relationship with money than I do. And you looked at me and you said, are you just trying to say I'm cheap?
Martha.
I said, no, I did not say that.
Martha.
It's not what I meant. I don't
Martha.
find you cheap at all.
Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So you take a pause. So anything coming up?
Well, I guess it would still come down to maybe not lovable for somebody else. I'm lovable enough for me, but maybe I guess I just think maybe I was in my last relationship. I was told that I was out of his bandwidth, and so I guess I'm having a hard time imagining being within somebody's bandwidth.
Mm. So let's check this. Say, I'm lovable enough for me, but not for a partner.
I'm lovable enough for me, but I'm not lovable enough for a partner.
Yeah, and you're resonating with that. That's on. Yeah, yeah. And now there's something we need to look at from here. So there's also a mental emotional state that we need to identify. And it's something from 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 to 15, 11, 12. Yeah. So there's some sadness. And when you say I'm lovable enough for me, but I'm not lovable enough for a partner, what do you notice in your body?
There's some sadness. They're
Yeah,
missing out.
yeah. So you can feel the sadness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where do you notice it?
Probably like in the pit of my stomach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So let's check this. Say sadness.
Sadness.
Yeah. And that's resonating. Yeah. So let's see what we need here. Something from here, here, something from here. So we're going to look at reestablishing positive resonance. And we need to look at the brow, throat, heart. It's the solar plexus. And it's number 1, 2, 3. It's number 1, number 2. And say, I avoid discharging my energy.
I avoid discharging my energy
By being too busy.
by being too busy,
And therefore depleting myself.
therefore depleting myself.
Yeah. And you're not resonating with that. So this is pointing to what you said about, that busyness as a distraction from the loneliness is also in some way de-energizing or depleting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah. So there's also a harmonic that's needed to help you to move into positive entrainment and resonance with the idea of a relationship. And what's needed is something from 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah. And it's number 1, number 2, number 3. So say I experience my stillness.
I experience my stillness.
Yeah, and that's not resonating. Yeah, and so you can see how that too busy compensation depletes your energy, and it also gets in the way of experiencing your stillness, which is that reconnection to yourself, reconnection to source. And from that place of stillness, to be able to sort of open the possibility of what relationship might be possible.
Mm.
So there's a modality that we need at this time. And it's something from this index. It's something from inner cultivation, family systems 1, family systems 2. So we're going to do something from the family system here. And I'm just curious in terms of, thinking about your aunt who never married, whether she had a very full life, full schedule with sort of no room for relationship. Do you know?
Yeah, she was always keeping herself busy working on her house.
Yeah. 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 So let's see what's needed here in terms of this modality. It's something from A through E, something from F, G, H, I, J. Okay. So something from number 1, number 2. So this is accepting somebody else's destiny. And so let's see here. So according to this body of work, the family systems work, destiny is mostly predetermined in terms of like the parents that we have, our country, the groups that we interact with, right? So there's certain aspects of our destiny that we can't change. So we can't change the family that we're born into. We can't change the country of our origin, the society that we grew up in. And we're only strong if we accept these parents that we were born to, if we accept our country of origin, if we accept our destiny, and we occupy our corresponding place. And loving our destiny gives us greatness and power. And so in order to help others, we first have to accept their destiny. And if we don't accept other people's destiny, we lack strength and power, and our help will be very limited. And so the objective of this modality is to be able to relate to others and have access to our own greatness and power when we accept their destiny. So for this modality, the question is, who do you feel that you need to do this modality with? Whose destiny do you have trouble accepting? Or is this somebody whose situation is difficult for you to accept, or maybe even somebody whose actions or choices are generating conflict within you?
Hmm. Um, well, I guess I live with a couple people who I'm kind of surrounded by an alcoholic and a pothead. I don't know if I'm that's that's just kind of the person that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's who we need to focus on. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that that's the context for this modality, given where we have already been in the session, talking about loneliness and how we disconnect from relationship, and using whether it's using work, or being over busy, or alcohol or drugs as a way to sort of distance ourselves. So it's all sort of on the same continuum, right?
Uh,
It's all kind of like avoidance mechanisms.
wow.
Yeah. So let's see what we need here. So this particular modality, it sets up a dialogue where we're going to identify sort of the statement that encapsulates the current situation. And then we identify the statement that encapsulates what's needed to bring the healing and the shift so that you can accept their destiny, which frees you to live your destiny.
Mhm.
So what's needed here is something from A, B, C. And then what's needed here is number 1, number 2. Okay. So what I want you to do is close your eyes and just imagine that you're there, and allow or create an image, and you're there facing these people that you live with that are using alcohol and marijuana. And you're going to say to their destiny out loud, you say, I am going to change you.
I'm going to change you.
And this is the statement that describes the current energy of the situation.
Oh, okay.
Say that again. I am going to change you.
I am going to change you.
Good. And now what you're going to do is you're going to say the coherent statement that's needed. Say, I give up wanting to change you.
I give up wanting to change you.
Yeah. And say that again. I give up wanting to change you.
I give up wanting to change you.
Good. And now you're going to bow slightly to their destiny. And this symbolizes that you are at peace. Okay. And what do you notice?
Just how draining that was for me.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you notice in your body now?
I just feel more present.
Good, good. Yeah, excellent. So I'm just going to check here. There's another modality that's needed. No, we need to go back and recheck the statements. Yeah, so now we're going to recheck the statements to see what has shifted, okay? So say, I have a difficult time imagining myself in relationship.
I have a difficult time imagining myself in a relationship.
I'm too busy.
Too busy.
And I've convinced myself I don't even want it.
I've convinced myself that I don't even want it.
Yeah, and you're not resonating with that.
Now it actually sounds kind of funny to me when I say it. You know, I don't know what that is. It's kind of funny
Yeah.
that I do that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so it's like, wow, where did I ever come up with that one?
I
Yeah. Say, I'm missing being loving and being loved.
missing being loving and being loved.
Yeah, and you're not resonating with that. That's off.
Wow.
Yeah. And say sadness.
Sadness.
Yeah, and that's off. And what do you notice in the pit of your stomach?
It just feels less tight. I can breathe deeper.
Good, good. And do you feel the sadness there?
Oh no.
Yeah, good, good. Say, I avoid discharging my energy
I avoid discharging my energy
by being too busy
by being too busy
and thereby depleting myself.
by depleting myself.
Good. And you're on now for avoiding that. So now you can be more conscious of when you move into that hyper busy state as an avoidance of your stillness, as an avoidance of your feelings.
Okay. Okay.
And you can just allow yourself. Oh yeah, your face has a glow that wasn't there before. That's what Ann said. Thank you for noticing that, Ann. Yeah. Beautiful. Say, I experience my stillness.
I experience my stillness.
Yeah, that's resonating. You're on for that. And just take a moment and just sort of sit in that stillness. And feel how that can be comfortable for you and a source of rejuvenation. As a way to recharge yourself. Yeah. How did that feel?
And
Good, good.
yeah.
Yeah, good. So there's anything.
It's kind of funny, like even in my stillness before, I was in my stillness, trying to.
You said
Does that
even,
make sense?
even in your stillness, you didn't feel that stillness?
I was still trying to be busy to accomplish things.
Right, right.
So I had stillness, but I was still busy trying to accomplish the stillness in a way, you know. So this is kind of different. So
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice. Good. So there was more of a natural stillness without having to sort of get there.
yeah.
Great, great.
Yeah. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let's just check. There's anything else needed from the session? There is not. The session is complete. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you, April, for being the voice of the group and for sitting in the seat of transformation for everybody.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for picking me.
And I just want to thank everybody in the group also for participating and for holding the field for April and for yourselves for this work to happen. Beautiful. Great. So before I open it up for questions, I just want to remind you again, I have a group starting in October looking at relationships through the lens of family patterns for people who are in relationship. And then there'll be another one starting later on in the fall. So if you're interested in either one of those groups, reach out to me at et@liztobin.com and we can set up a time to talk. So great. So yeah, I'd love to open it up to any questions or comments. If anybody has anything that you'd like to ask or add. Tisha says, thank you. Net says, thank you all. Have a great day. You're welcome. Very good. All right. So, see you back here the first Monday of October. If you're on my mailing list, I send out a reminder with the Zoom link. You can get on my mailing list by going to liztobin.com and going to the contact section. Or you can email me. So thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you.
Email address again. What's your email address again?
Yeah, it's et@liztobin.com, and I'm going to pop it into the chat for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from you, April, on how you're doing after the session.
Okay, great.
Good,
Thank you
great.
so much.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good month. We'll see you
Bye.
next month.